Hello, welcome to your academy. At your academy today we will deal with a sonnet from William Shakespeare's series of sonnets, that is sonnet number 76. Now when it comes to sonnet number 76, this marks the beginning of around 10 sonnets excluding sonnet number 81, which follow a similar kind of theme. That is from sonnet number 76 up to 86. You will find same sonnets are the sonnets which mostly talk about a similar kind of theme, and that dominant theme in these sonnets would be an unchangeable love. Now, an unchanging love, an unaltered love happens to be one of the dominant theme of sonnets written by William Shakespeare. There are other sonnets also who talk about such unchanging love, such consistent love. For example, sonnet 116 is also an example of this, though that is a nuptial sonnet also, which talks about the marriage kind of thing, but the essence of that sonnet also lies you know on or is grounded on love. So one aspect of these sonnets, that is from 76 to 86, would be the theme of love, the theme of consistent love, unchanging love. 81 sonnet is an exception, which is slightly a digression of these themes, and he talks about other things than what he had been talking from 76 to 80 and from 82 to 86. Now when it comes primarily to sonnet number 76, this sonnet also finds its context with sonnet number 38. In sonnet number 38, poet talks about muse, and he talks about his beloved, his friend, as his muse. Whatever he has been writing is all inspired from the beauty of the youth, is inspired from his beloved, is inspired from his friend, which in that case we suppose is WH. In sonnet number 38, William Shakespeare, or the poet, was talking about his muse and was talking about his poetry. Now, the same theme, almost identical, appears in sonnet number 76. And some critics say that the placement and the repetition of theme could not be considered as accidental but could be deliberate on the part of the poet, because sonnet number 76 appears half, after 100% of the sonnets are written from sonnet number 38. 38 plus 38 is 76, so twice from 38 we have the number 76. So that, some critics say, could be a reason why Shakespeare is repeating a similar kind of theme in 76, though it's not same. There are a slightly different context, different arguments that William Shakespeare would be making here, but the theme, the core, the essence of sonnet number 38 and sonnet number 76 would be same, which would be about the attitude of poet in writing poetry, and the role of his love, and the role of his beloved, and the role of his friend in writing those sonnets. So when you read this sonnet, read it in this context, that this sonnet is about the friend of the poet, not only about the friend of the poet, but his friend being an inspiration for the poet to write the sequence of the sonnets. Now we will take up this sonnet, that is sonnet number 76, read its text, and then try to understand and explain line by line what William Shakespeare, our poet, has to tell us through sonnet number 76. Let's take up the text of sonnet number 76. Why is my verse so barren of new pride, so far from variation or quick change? Why, with the time, do I not glance aside to new-found methods and to compounds strange? Why write I still all one, ever the same, and keep invention in a noted weed? That very word doth almost tell my name, showing their birth and where they did proceed. Oh, no, sweet love, I always write of you, and you and love are still my argument. So all my best is dressing old words new, spending again what is already spent. For as the sun is daily new and old, so is my love still telling what is told. That was the text of the sonnet number 76. Though the pattern of William Shakespeare sonnet is that it contains, four quatrains, uh, three quatrains rather, and a couplet. But here what it seems that first two quatrains would deal with a particular argument, and there is a change or a shift in third quatrain and the concluding couplet. Now let's take the line by line analysis of this sonnet. It begins, why is my verse so barren of new pride? So far from variations are quick change. Now the sonnet begins not with a statement but with a rhetoric question. And there is a very hard word that poet chooses for himself, that Shakespeare chooses for himself, and that is barren. Now, this word barren, I don't think there would be a critic, there would be a reader who would dare to use the word barren for something written by William Shakespeare. But here, William Shakespeare happens to use this word barren for his own writing. Though we know there have been critics who have praised, William Shakespeare to the lengths, whether it be, for that matter, Ben Jonson, whether it be A.C. Bradley, whether it be John Dryden, whether it be S.T. Coleridge. All these critics have praised William Shakespeare, and none of those critics dare to use the word barren for the writing of uh, William Shakespeare, for the writing of, or for that matter, for the content of William Shakespeare. But here, poet, who obviously is William Shakespeare, is telling us, I am amused that why is my writing so barren? Why is my writing so repetitive? Barren of new pride. Now, this new pride here, why is my writing barren of new pride? New pride would be, for example, maybe inventions, new methods of writing, new style of writing, new content of writing. But poet is complaining to himself, perhaps, that he is not writing something new. He has been writing consistently about a same subject, about same things, and there does not seem any kind of variety in his writing. The writing seems to be barren of the varieties. So far from variation or quick change. There is no variation in his writing. Quick change would be, this quick change is again a strange kind of a phrase that Shakespeare chooses here. Now, this quick change would be either a change in method, either a change in writing, a change in subject, a change in the addressee for that matter, because when he's writing these sonnets, he's dedicating, more than 80 or 70% of the sonnets to W.H. and, around 20% or 25% to Darklady, or even less than that. Now, even it could refer to that he has been writing all these sonnets throughout only for one person and writing only on the same subject, on the same things. So there seems to be less change in the subject matter. There seems to be less change in the variations. There seems to be a redundant style. Why is it so? He complains his own method of writing. And then he says, why with the time do I not glance aside to newfound methods and to compounds strange? I don't look aside. I don't glance aside, which means perhaps I'm not looking at the society. I am not looking at the politics. I am not looking at the social change that perhaps would be arising in the Elizabethan age. I don't dare to look out of my window for a new subject, for a new thing. But what have I been doing? I have been writing on the same subject, about the same thing. And that same subject is his friend, love of his friend, and love for that matter. And I have not been looking at newfound methods. There could be people who are writing in new ways, writing in new methods. Say, for example, John Donne. John Donne, when William Shakespeare was writing in an absolutely new way, in new pattern. John Donne was also into writing by 1600s. And when this John Donne was writing in a new way or in a new style of writing, which though was not very much known in Elizabethan age, because John Donne did not make his writings public at that time, but still there was scope of change, there was scope of innovations. But William Shakespeare said that I am not looking at these new methods and to compound strange. Compound strange again refers to new ways of putting words together, new syntax, new grammar, new ways, new rhetoric devices, all these things I have not been doing. There seems to be something wrong with him. Why write I still all one, ever the same, and keep invention in a noted weed? Why write I still at one, ever the same? I have been writing at one, which could refer to subject, to person. Was there only one person in the life of William Shakespeare to write about, that is W.H.? Was there only love as subject that William Shakespeare would have written? Nay, we know from the plays that Shakespeare have written that there are variety of themes, variety of subjects that he touches. And as I said earlier, no one would, for that matter, criticize William Shakespeare for writing about one subject or writing about only one subject. No critic has ever done so. But Shakespeare says so. Why have I been doing so? Writing all the same, and I have kept innovation in a noted weed. This innovation, change, betterment, adoption of new ways, new techniques, I have kept aside as if it's harmful. As if it's harmful for his writings, it's harmful to his writings. Why have I developed an attitude like this? And this attitude is not a good one. That every word doth almost tell my name, showing their birth and where they did proceed. Now the sameness, the redundancy, the consistency is such that anyone would, identify the words written by me. They know their origin, from where do they proceed, and who has written them. Because I have been writing about same subject in the same pattern, in the same way. Now these words that have come forth from me have got the mark that anyone who reads it says, these are written by that man, William Shakespeare, the poet, friend of W.H. And I have ended up to this state. Now, when we read this sonnet to this level, one thing that we understand, that if there is a poet who has got such kind of consistency and an inconsistency in finding a new subject, new way of writing, new innovation, is not considered a great writer. The great writer is one who encompasses in his writing a variety of themes, a variety of subject matter, and continues to write in an innovative manner wherein we can find new things. And if there is a writer who writes about only one thing, is not a good writer. So the poet here is complaining about something and is also insisting, for that matter, William Shakespeare was a very sharp-minded writer. He was clever, he was genius. He perhaps through this analogy, through this argument, rather through this rhetoric argument, is making a statement as a critic that if you want to be a good writer, there must be a variety in your writing. You should not keep on writing about one subject, about same subject. You should deal with a variety of things, variety of subjects, and should adopt to new ways, to new innovative ways. The innovation should not be considered perhaps as a weed. But then we come to the third quatrain. Oh, no, sweet love, I always write of you. This begins with mark of exclamation, an exclamation. This is not a shortcoming in me if I have been writing in this consistent manner, in this same manner, if my poetry has become barren of new pride, it's not bad. You should know that I have been writing about you. This barrenness has come here because of my love for you. I don't like to write about anyone else, and you and love are still my argument. Now that's the essence of this sonnet. You and love are still my argument. And this would be the theme of sonnet number 76, which would run up to sonnet number 86, and which was there for that matter in sonnet number 38. That is, the main argument of the sonnets of William Shakespeare is love and WH. Now, since I have been writing about this, this is my argument. So, therefore, perhaps for some people, these sonnets would have that sameness. These sonnets would have that repetition of a same person, of a same argument, and love. That is love. And another aspect of this is that poetry, or the subject matter of poetry, for a long time has been love. A poet cannot ignore the subject of love in his poetry. And love happens to be a repetition. Now the things have changed. There have been people who have written poems on different subjects. John Milton's Paradise Lost doesn't talk about love for that matter, and though it's an epic poem. And there are poems, for example, later that would be written by William Wordsworth, which would be written by other people, John Keats, written by Coleridge. They don't talk exclusively about love. They talk about other things also. But for a general consensus of poets, that when poets write poetry, love is seldom absent from those poems. Love is not absent from the poems. So he says that my arguments are these two, WH and love. And that may seem to some people that this poet seems to repeat the things, repeat the sonnets, repeat the arguments, but I can't help it, because you should know, even if you complain about my style of writing, you should know that I have been writing about you and I have been writing about love. These two are my arguments. So, all my best is dressing old words new, spending again what is already spent. So then what can I achieve if I am writing about you and love? Both of you are now old, have been with me for quite some time. I have been writing about you for last 77 sonnets, for example. So you have been there. So what have I been trying to do? Writing old words as new, spending what has already been spent, writing about what has already been written. I have written 75 sonnets for that matter about you, and in sonnet number 76 I am again talking about you. So I am writing about old words, about old things, so the sameness ought to be there. The absence of innovation has to be there. It's because of you and because of love, and only these two are my argument. For as the sun is daily new and old, so is my love still telling what is told. Now he is trying to justify his attitude and his stance towards this writing. And he gives us an example of the sun. He says, look at the sun. It rises daily. It has got a same pattern, hardly changes, but it's daily new and it's daily old. We don't say that an old day has emerged. We say that there is always a new day. There is always a new beginning. When the sun sets, it's a new day. So the pattern is the same. The structure is the same. The subject is the same. There is no change in it, but it's a new day. So, the same applies to the poet. When he is writing, he may be writing about the same thing, about the same process, about the same subject, but still it is for him new. So is my love still telling what is told. So it's my love for you, oh friend, the WH, which has been telling repeatedly those things which have already been told, which have already been written about. Not someone else has written, he himself has written, and he seems to repeat the same things time and again. But why? Out of his love for his friend. Now that was sonnet number 76. Now again it refers to the inconsistency of love and how the love should not change, and also talks about the subject matter of poetry in brief, which for that matter is love, and also throws light at, for example, the sonnets. We can also say that if you are reading, for example, the sonnet sequence of William Shakespeare from sonnet number 1 to sonnet number 126, all of these sonnets are dedicated to one person. So obviously if you have read 75 sonnets for that matter, talking about same person and talking about sameness, so every time you are saying that this sonnet is dedicated to WH, this sonnet is dedicated to WH, this sonnet is dedicated to WH, and this statement that this sonnet is dedicated to WH repeats 75 times till you reach sonnet number 75, and then you come to sonnet number 76. This sonnet is dedicated to WH. So you start asking, what kind of a series am I dealing with? Perhaps William Shakespeare also had this thing in mind, and before the reader would have raised this complaint, would have questioned this, he questions himself that why is there this sameness in my argument? Why is there this sameness in my sonnets, in my verses? Why have they been barren of new pride, new change? Why am I not talking about another friend? It's because love is not love if it alters when it alteration finds. Sonnet number 116 makes a clear claim about it, a clear argument about it. And since my arguments are you and love, neither would my love change, neither would you change. Because love, if I have claimed in sonnet number 1, will remain consistent throughout this series. And if it changes, it's no more love. That was sonnet number 76. I hope that this lecture was helpful for you and you are able to understand sonnet number 76 by William Shakespeare. That is all we have at your academy for today. Don't forget to share, like, comment and subscribe at the videos of your academy. Now this lecture was recorded on demand. If you also have any question that you want us to deliver a lecture upon, you can write in the comment section of any of the videos on your academy. We will do our best to come back with a recorded lecture. Thank you for watching and keep watching your academy.